Welcome to the Holistic Living Podcast, my beautiful friends. You can expect my uncensored, real, and honest thoughts on a wide variety of health topics. If you love to learn on ways to improve your health, your life, your mindset, your emotions, and everything in between in a natural way, you are in the right place, and I am so excited to have you here. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 37 of the Holistic Living Podcast. Today we are talking about the powerful connection between our mind, body, and spirit. This was the most highly voted topic for today's podcast on my Instagram. So many of you were interested in hearing my take and my insights. And so that's what I'll be sharing with you today. So many of us are, so good with the physical side of healing and our health. We're taking the supplements, our nutrition is on point, we're, very active, we're focusing on our fitness, all of which are great and really important things. But a lot of us are not focusing or often forget about the emotional and mental aspect of healing. And this is one of the most important parts of our health, in my opinion, because you can have all of the, physical aspects in the bag in terms of your health. But if you are neglecting the emotional and mental aspect or spheres, it's very hard to have true and deep healing. So I'm going to dive into this topic a little bit today, share my insights, share the research that I've come across. I love this topic. I'm really passionate about it. So I hope that you enjoy and learn something. So everything that is alive pulsates with energy, okay? And all of this energy contains information. So a lot of practitioners that you might speak to, if they are, an alternative practitioner or practice complementary medicine, they will talk about this concept. And so a lot of times people believe that this is just like a woohoo, holistic kind of opinion that everything has energy, but it actually is very scientific. Okay, a lot of physicists, majority, and scientists have believed and confirmed and acknowledge the existence of an electromagnetic field that is generated by our body's biological processes. Scientists accept that the human body generates electricity because living tissues generate energy. So every single cell in our body is electric. We have positive and negative charges on all of our cells. Every bit of our body has energy. And again, we're not talking about the typical woohoo energy that you think about when you're thinking of like new age medicine, but we're talking about actual physical electricity. Your body's physical surrounding is surrounded by an energy field. It extends as far out as your outstretched arms and the full length of your body. So it's both like an information center and a highly sensitive perceptual system. We are constantly in communication with everything around us through this system. So it's so important that, and we'll get to this shortly, but that we're really paying attention to our surroundings as well, because yes, we have energy in us and around us, and everything that we come in contact with has energy as well. You can, touch a swing at the park and get a shock, and there's an electricity transfer. There's energy on the ground that we walk on, in the air that we are breathing, and so on and so forth. Many practitioners believe that the human energy field contains and reflects each individual's energy. So it surrounds us and carries with us the emotional energy created by our internal and external experiences, both positive and negative. And this emotional force influences the physical tissues in our body. In this way, your biography, that is the experiences that make up your life, becomes your biology. It's so important to think about when you're growing up, what events happened. Like essentially, a lot of us have gone through quote unquote traumas, or a lot of people have just had a tough time in life. Some had a really great upbringing and a great positive experience through childhood. These experiences, these traumas, these negative feelings that we had in the past all affect our energy today. Experiences that carry emotional energy in our energy systems include past and present relationships, both personal and professional, profound or traumatic experiences and memories and belief patterns and attitudes, including all spiritual beliefs as well. The emotions from these experiences becomes encoded in our biological systems and contributes to the formation of our cell tissue, which then generates a quality of energy that reflects those emotions. This is true. This is proven. These energy impressions will form an energy language which carries literal and symbolic information that a lot of practitioners actually use when trying to diagnose or treat, different conditions or illnesses. There's a lot of ways that we can use the electrical information from our body to diagnose, to kind of see, is there something in someone's past that needs to be addressed, like trauma. A lot of people who have PTSD, they literally have different energy patterns within their body. So one thing that I want to say as well is just give you like an example of the kind of message that the energy field may be communicating. And by energy field, again, we're talking about the literal electricity in our body. So if you are, Carolyn Miss, has a PhD. She actually gave this example. So she was saying, if you had some trouble with math when you were in elementary school, knowing the fact that 12 makes a dozen would not ordinarily carry an emotional charge, such as, altering the health of your cell's tissues. However, if you were humiliated by the teacher because you didn't know that fact, the experience would carry an emotional charge that would create cellular damage, especially if you were to dwell on that memory through your adulthood or use it as a touchstone for determining how to deal with criticism or authority figures or education or failure. So there's literally an image that is created, a quote unquote image that is created of the exchange with your teacher or any other negative symbols that are linked to that experience. Positive images and the energy that comes from a positive experience is also literally imprinted in our bodies. So you want to think of a time when someone praised you for a job well done or a kind act that you have done or helped someone in need. You feel a positive energy. Literally, you feel a surge of personal power within your body. So positive and negative experiences register a memory in cell tissue and in the energetic balance of our body. So these chemicals then get triggered by emotions and our thoughts are converted into matter. Your mind is in every cell of your body. So emotions are also stored in our body. And this is, again, something that I guess we know of. We're like, oh yeah, we know. Like if you're an emotional person, if you've had past traumas, again, those are stored in the body, but we don't really believe it or think about it. And I think we should, because if you are trying to get true, full healing, you want to be addressing not just the physical, but the mental and the emotional. Our emotional energy converts into biological matter through a highly complex process. So something as like an analogy, just as radio stations operate according to specific energy wavelengths, each organ and system and cell in our body is calibrated to absorb and process specific emotional and psychological energies. So each area of our body will transmit energy on a specific detailed frequency. And when we are healthy, that's in tune, or AKA homeostasis, then all of our body is able to transmit energy evenly and with the same frequency. So an area of the body that is not transmitting at its normal frequency indicates the location of a problem. So something to mention here, when you have an illness, so say you're having, you have fatty liver disease, okay? And your liver is not functioning optimally. There is what we call a weakness in the body in that area. There is a physical weakness where you're having poor liver function. Your liver is not doing what it should be doing, so it's weakened. But there's also an energetic weakness as well. There's a low response. There's low vitality in the body. This is a response on the energetic level where you will feel physically tired, weaker, but your body on the energetic level as well is responsive. Has a weaker response. It's less responsive. So If a person is able to sense intuitively that he or she is losing energy because of a stressful situation and then acts to correct that loss of energy, then the likelihood of that stress developing into a physical crisis is reduced. And if not, then it's eliminated completely. So just to understand this a little bit, a lot of times, when you're hanging around someone who you can feel literally is draining your energy. I don't know about you, but I've hung around so many people through my life where, because I like to say I'm an empath, where I'm a quite intense empath, to be honest. And I just absorb everybody's energies and negativities, and also positive energy as well. But I'm very sensitive to people and their emotions around me and the energies around me. And if I'm talking to someone who is a type of person that is literally draining my energy, I do everything I can to remove myself from that conversation or that situation. So I will, come up with an excuse to, I gotta run to the bathroom, or I gotta do this or that. Or if they're trying to get together and hang out again, I'll try to come up with an excuse politely of why I can't, meet up or hang out. And I'm doing that to protect literally my energy, because you can feel when you are around someone who is draining your energy, who is elevating your stress. Like, there's a physical feeling you get just by being around a person, and their energy that they are emitting is affecting your energy frequencies. So it's not just a physical thing where you dislike a person or you just don't vibe. It is beyond that. You can get a feeling when you are around someone, even if you don't speak to them and know nothing about them, you can get a feeling. It's a positive feeling, it's a negative feeling, it could be a draining feeling, whatever it might be, but you always can get a feeling or a sense. And that is the energy feeling. That's the energy level. So if you are in a situation where you feel like you are losing energy because a situation is stressful, and you can just correct that loss of energy by removing yourself from the situation or whatever it might be, you will be more likely to not have any physical issues in your system if you are correcting the situation soon enough. Something that Carolyn Myss mentions is, and it's really interesting to me, is that our body's intention to promote its own health and life is so profound. So our energy will always seek health in spite of what we may do to ourselves physically. If, for example, we tell a lie, our energy field will communicate to the other person that we're talking to the energy fact that we are not telling the truth. So energy does not and cannot lie. And this is really interesting when I read this, because, again, some people I feel like are more intuitive than others, and you can just pick up certain things. Others are a little bit more oblivious. I would like to consider myself a little bit more of an intuitive person. And if I am stuck talking to someone, just standing in front of someone, even if I'm not talking to that person and they're talking to someone else, I can still I get like a sensation, almost like my hair stands up on my body, and I can immediately tell when they're lying. I can know nothing about the person. I can have never talked to them in my life. I might not even be having a conversation with them directly, but if I'm standing close enough to them, I immediately can tell if that person is telling a lie or not. And I, again, think that's super cool, because again, that's telling you, there is true energy around us. You get a feeling, a sensation, and it's not just a mental feeling, but it's an energetic feeling as well. So I thought that was really cool. So our bodies contain our histories, every chapter, line, and verse of every event and relationship in our lives. As our lives unfold, our biological health becomes a living, breathing, biographical statement that conveys our strengths, weaknesses, hopes, and fears, as Carolyn Myss states. So every thought that you have had has traveled through your biological system and activated a physiological response. And again, this is not some new age or woohoo belief. This is physically, scientifically true. And I believe, God made us. I believe in God, and He made us to be super, super complex beings. We are not simple. We are extremely complex, and it comes down to every single cell in our body being complex. And naturally with that, there are going to be complex energy fields as well. So some thoughts are like depth charges, causing a reaction throughout the body. A fear, for instance, activates every system of your body. Your stomach will tighten, your heart rate will increase, you may break into a sweat. But opposite of that, a loving thought can relax your entire body. So some thoughts are more subtle and still others are unconscious completely. Many are meaningless and pass through the body like wind through a screen, requiring no conscious attention, and their influence upon our health is minimal. Yet each conscious thought, and many unconscious ones as well, does generate a physiological response. So all our thoughts, regardless of their content, first enter our systems as energies, and those that carry an emotional, mental, or psychological energy produce biological responses that are then stored in our cellular memory. When someone is absolutely exhausted, and when exhaustion continues, even when the person is getting a lot of sleep, the body is trying to communicate that the person is energetically ill. So responding to this message from the body at the energy stage can often prevent the development of an illness. I do this all the time with my clients. I get so many, especially women, coming to me and saying, I am sleeping 8 to 10 hours every night and I still wake up exhausted. I feel completely unrefreshed. And it's telling me that their body needs to be re-stimulated at the cellular level, at the energetic level. Their body essentially needs a reboot or a reset at the energetic level. No matter how much physical sleep they get, they will always feel tired until this is done. Depression is another symptom that all is not well. So within the clinical world, depression is generally considered an emotional and mental disorder, but prolonged depression often precedes the development of a physical illness. When you're talking about the energy side of things, depression literally is a release of energy or life force without consciousness. So there's so much to this. This topic is really deep, really heavy, really in depth. I don't want this podcast to be forever, and I want to share a lot of information with you and what we can do, but just a little bit more information really quick. Illnesses develop as a consequence of behavioral patterns and attitudes that we do not realize are biologically toxic until they have already become so. Only when illness forces us to review our attitudes do we come close to comprehending that our day-to-day fearful or bitter attitudes are in fact biologically negative substances. Again, we all have negative feelings, but not all negativity produces disease. So to create disease, negative emotions have to be dominant, and what accelerates the process is knowing the negative thought to be toxic, but giving it permission to thrive in your consciousness anyway. So for instance, you may know you need to forgive someone, yet you decide that remaining angry gives you more power. Remaining obsessively angry makes you more likely to develop a disease, especially in the liver, because the liver anger is held in the liver. And because the energy consequence of a negative obsession is powerlessness. Energy is power, and transmitting energy into the past by dwelling on painful events drains power from your present day body and can lead to illness. Power or energy is essential for healing and for maintaining health. Attitudes that generate a feeling of powerlessness not only lead to low self-esteem, but also deplete your physical body of energy, so you'll feel exhausted, but they'll weaken your overall health as well. So this is really important because I talk specifically, but a lot of practitioners talk as well about the whole idea, especially when you're dealing with like cancer or chronic illness. They talk about the importance of having positive thoughts, positive attitudes. And there have been studies that show that individuals who had cancer and had positive outlooks, positive thoughts, were always looking at the positive side of things, that they had much better remission and outcomes with their cancer than those who had more negative thoughts. So our thoughts are powerful because of the energy. And if you guys if you're a little bit skeptical on the belief that humans are made up of energy and that we have energy and are surrounded by energy, think about if you were, these cell phone companies have confirmed studies that if you're holding a cell phone too close to you, that it can cause cancer. And why does that happen? It's damaging our cells. Energy from the cell phone is interacting with energy frequencies in our body around our cells and causing these issues. If our body is in what we call homeostasis, if our vital force is strong in our body, that means our energy is optimal, or it's functioning at the right frequency that our cells need. and we are in homeostasis. When we are in a diseased state, we end up having this imbalance in our energy and in our frequency. And what is so beautiful is that homeopathy helps to rebalance these energies. And again, it's not this woohoo new age type of energy that people commonly think about when they hear the word energy, but it's the physical charges on our cells, like the scientific electrical charges and impulses in our cells and in our body that we are trying to rebalance and bring back into a homeostatic state. So what can we do? One thing that I really love to talk about is positive thoughts, positive affirmations. First and foremost, we need to be thinking positive as much as we possibly can. It is so important for us, especially in a world where there might seem like there's a lot to be negative about. You know, we could be negative about the politics if we don't agree with them. We can be negative about the incredible cost of living. We can be negative about, comparing ourselves to someone else and seeing that someone else has a lot more, especially when we're on social media. And so we can be negative and say, oh, I wish I had that. My life isn't good enough, or try to put the other person down for having more than us out of jealousy. So there's so much these days to be negative about and negative for. But if we choose, amidst all that, to have that positivity and to see the light in the day and the light in the dark, we can really go a long way to regulating our nervous systems. And by the way, when we talk about nervous system regulation, what is our nervous system? It is a completely electrical system. So we are regulating our nervous system by regulating our electricity within that system, the energy. And it starts with the way that we think. Having positive thoughts will produce this positive energy balance. Having negative thoughts will cause disease and imbalance within the body because our body's energetic states are out of regulation. You might have heard when people say, when they're talking on the holistic side of things, that if you store anger, that it's going to affect your liver. You'll have some kind of liver condition because anger is stored in the liver. If you are chronically stressed, you'll have a stomach or gut issue because stress is stored and anxieties are stored within the digestive system, and so on and so forth. And this is absolutely true. And you can physically feel it. When you are constantly stressed, you're probably going to have an ulcer or some kind of digestive issue, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, things like that. Our emotions, the things that we're thinking and feeling on the emotional level, are affecting our physical body. A lot of people too have a lot of anger, and then it'll lead them to drink. So the anger is causing a toxic behavior. So the emotion is causing a toxic physical behavior, but then it can impact your liver, which is also a physical part of us. So the emotions are not just affecting disease on a cellular level, but they're affecting our entire life and the way that we are living and viewing the world as well. So as you can see, our mind is so important, and our spirit and our energy systems are so important to focus on top of our physical body. And if you are not doing all of those three areas, the mind, body, spirit connection, in my opinion, and in practitioners of the holistic nature's opinion, is you cannot get true healing or true regulation. Essentially, you need to be working on all spheres. What I love to do is I love obviously taking the supplements that are needed for whatever issue you have. I love exercising every day and moving your body. I love eating healthy. But what I also promote is factors that are going to support the mental and emotional and essentially nervous system side of your body. Things that you can do and that I recommend doing would be something like grounding. You can walk outside barefoot on your grass, and your energies will be, your body will be grounded. That's why we call it grounding. You will feel, and your nervous system will feel more grounded, more at peace when you are walking barefoot and touching your feet to the earth, because you are having this energy transfer from the energy that's being emitted from the earth, from the ground, and the energy from your body. And it's regulating and balancing your energies. It might feel like nothing is happening, but at the cellular and energetic level, there's so much happening. So that's something that I love doing. I recommend deep breathing. This is one of the most important things you can do for your mind, for your emotions, for your energy regulation, because it balances the nervous system. And how does it do that? It is calming. If you are in a calm state, your energy is your physical energy in your cells is becoming more regulated. You're also naturally releasing toxic and negative thoughts and are replacing them with calming and peaceful thoughts. So I love to pair deep breathing with visualization, looking at something calming, like an ocean, like the waves in an ocean, or a beautiful forest, or a nice sunset, or something like that. Looking at something visually that is so calming will, and then deep breathing and shutting your eyes on and off. These motions will allow you to fully relax. And then typically a lot of these negative thoughts that you might have, if you're holding on to anger, to anxieties, anything like that, those thoughts can leave and you can replace them with positive and happier thoughts. Me being religious, I love to do meditations, but obviously religious based. So I will be, thinking about something that I've read in the Bible, thinking about, something along the lines of my faith. And it helps me grow closer to God. But at the same time, when your mind is on God and on something so beautiful, you don't need to have your mind on stress and on things that are unimportant and causing disease and imbalances within your body. And so it helps you to shift your thoughts to have a better outlook and perspective, less negativity. And at the same time, you're relaxing your entire body and your entire energy systems. It's really, really important. So deep breathing is really big for me. Visualization, grounding. Something else I really like to do is TENS stimulation. You can use a TENS machine. And again, I've had so many people tell me, you're crazy to believe in this energy stuff. But then they'll go and use a TENS machine on their body and say, oh, it works. It's like, well, how is it working? It's interacting with your body's energy systems. It's stimulating different electrical literally impulses within your body. So different energies. So again, I'm like, okay, if you don't believe in the energy systems that our body has, but you're using TENS machines, or you're not wanting cell phones near your body or anything like that can interact with your energy systems, it doesn't quite make sense. So if you're not quite 100% on board with this topic, definitely do a little bit more research into the physical electricity of our bodies that is 100% there and proven by science. It's why you can get shocked, right? There's a transfer of electricity. So anyways, coming back to it, I love the TENS machine. It helps you can really put it on your body for different things, like to help relieve pain and things like that. But what I like to use it for is specifically the vagal nerve stimulation. This is one of the biggest nerves in our body. And if it's not firing correctly, you're going to have poor functioning nervous system. Your whole electrical system in general will be off in your system. So I love to use a TENS machine to stimulate the vagus nerve, have that proper outflow from that nerve, which will improve anxiety and depression too. And so improve your thoughts, which will then naturally help to rebalance your energies better as well. So TENS stimulation is something that I'm a huge fan of. And then anything that you can do that is calming. Okay, so hot Epsom salt baths is fantastic. You can diffuse lavender essential oil. That's fantastic. But moving beyond the TENS machine and the deep breathing and the grounding, I really want to encourage you to try mindfulness. We have 24 hours in a day. A bunch of that is sleeping, and we're dreaming, and we can't really control what we're thinking in our dreams. But for the waking hours, okay, the other maybe 18, 16 hours that you're not sleeping, every single thought that passes through your mind can be something that is lifting you up, that is powerful, that is positive, that is bringing you closer to God and to your goals, making you a better person. Or it can be something that is filling your mind with trash, and that is encouraging the disease process, that is affecting your mood in a negative way, that is pulling you away from God or the goals and the things that you want and need in your life. If you are practicing mindfulness, then essentially you are trying to control every thought that you're having. If it's a bad thought, you're immediately erasing it from your mind. And if it's a positive thought, you can feed it. So I'll give you an example. this is what I've been trying to do. And this is something that I'm working on. I'm nowhere near perfect with this, and it's been a long journey, but I have come so far, which I am so proud of. Being someone who has high anxiety, there's a lot of times where I would have negative thoughts and I would allow them to fester in my mind, and I would come up with scenarios in my head that don't even exist, and it would just kind of, sorry, I hit my pen, but it would spiral from there. What I've been doing over the past couple of years, and it's worked beautifully, and I'm trying to help others do the same, is again to control those thoughts. So I'll give you an example with myself. If I wake up in the morning and within the first 20 minutes of the day, the baby has written on the walls and the kids have completely trashed their bedrooms and my website blew up for my business and a bunch of other bad things have happened, and it has delayed me and prevented me from getting to the gym on time or from, doing the things that I had planned to do that morning. Normally, the old Marla would be immediately depressed, angry, and start coming up with things in my head like, I hate being a mom. This is really frustrating. And I would start to get angry and I would start to think negative thoughts. Okay. Like how bad and hard my life is, how annoying it is to never have freedom, to always have to be on my kid's schedule, et cetera, et cetera. What I now do when I start to have those negative thoughts, immediately I stop and I'm like, I am blessed. I start thinking about the good things that I have. I have a beautiful roof over my head. I have 4 stunningly healthy and delicious children. I have a beautiful business that allows me to be home with my children, and so on and so forth. So you're just taking a situation that is out of your control that naturally, us being human, would be frustrated and angry about. But instead of dwelling and letting it fester, immediately, as soon as I can, I try to think about what I am blessed with, what I'm grateful for, and pivot my thoughts. And that is essentially the power that you have. You are in full control over every single thing you think. You can have these negative thoughts. You can also always focus on the negative things like, oh, the weather is gloomy today. Oh, the price of all the food is insane. Oh, I can't stand the government. Oh, this and oh, that. And always just think about the bad things that are happening. And just those negative thoughts that you're having can be enough to dysregulate your entire nervous system, to throw off your energy systems, and your body can start to be in a diseased state. So just by literally shifting from the negative to the positive, to what's beautiful in your life, to what you're grateful for, what you're happy for, instead of all the negative, it can be one of the biggest, most powerful things that you can do for your health. And without it, you can have all the other things, the supplements and the clean food and the exercise, but if you have a negative mindset, negative thoughts, high anxiety, it's very hard for you to get that true healing. So practicing mindfulness, the deep breathing, encouraging your body to relax, focusing on the beautiful and the good are huge, huge, huge things that you can do. Now, obviously, there are things that we have gone through in our past or maybe currently going through. Some have it way worse than others and have experienced abuse and all kinds of things. These experiences that we have also create imbalances within us because this trauma, like I mentioned earlier, literally disrupts and changes our energy response and our frequencies, and it allows us to hold on to resentment, to anger, and it can create, imbalances within the body. So what I also want to encourage you is if you did experience stuff in life that has caused these negative reactions or emotions, do your best to release it. You can work with a professional like a therapist to help you do this, or you can do this on your own, but you have to want to do it. A lot of us are in this victim mentality and we like to be there because we want the sympathy and we like to have an excuse when something goes wrong in our life. And this might be hard to hear, but I was like this for a while too, so I can say that because I 100% was there. Being in a victim state, in a victim mentality, if something goes wrong, you could say, oh, it's because I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, or I didn't have an easy childhood, or I didn't have this or that. And so we can kind of blame our past, blame others in our past or our present for the things that are happening to us. If you want that true healing and you want to have peace and feel at peace and have positive thoughts and have a completely transformed health and life, you want to do whatever is necessary to forgive, to move on, not necessarily forget. I mean, if you can, great. But even if you can't forget, but to accept what has happened in your past and say, I can't change it, but I forgive. I've accepted it. I'm not holding on to the anger. I am releasing it. There is nothing I can do anymore. It has happened. As horrible as whatever happened, as horrible as it was, I'm releasing it and I'm focusing on today. Today I am here. I am alive. I am breathing. I am given another day. I have a roof over my head, or I have a food in my belly. Whatever it is that you're grateful for, just think about that and focus on that. And if you can release all of that pent up anger, resentment, traumas that you've experienced, it'll make room for the positive and the healing thoughts, those energy regulating, nervous system regulating thoughts that can help to reverse disease rather than encourage disease. So I'm going to end the podcast here. This was kind of I hope you got something out of this. It was a very unplanned topic. I didn't have notes or anything to really go over. So I hope that the conversation flowed all right and it made sense. And I hope that you enjoyed. I hope this is what you were hoping to receive when you voted on Instagram. If not, I can do a part 2. But I hope you guys have a beautiful day or night, wherever you are listening from. Thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye.